Welcome back to the Hardcore Gaming Podcast. Crazy to think we're at episode 5 already. We're one episode away from the ending of season 1. I'm Nick.
I'm Alan.
Joe.
I'm Eric.
And today we're going to tackle the controversy or blessing, depends on your point of view, of DLC. But first, let's get into the gaming news. I'm really excited. Darksiders 3 just got announced.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped about that. At least one thing survived from the THQ fallout. Did any of you guys play any of the little Darksiders at all?
Yep.
Oh man, so what's your guys' input on this? You guys pretty excited about it, or?
Absolutely.
I am so excited.
Yeah.
I actually, thanks to Mr. Nick here, I really got into Darksiders about a year ago, spring last year, and I plowed through 1 and 2, and I remember immediately asking you, so when's the third one coming out?
And it's like,
And my heart was crushed when I heard that it might never come out, so I am so excited about it.
yeah, I played the second one immediately when it launched, and when the ending happened, I was like, all right, this is a good ending, but huge cliffhanger. And then a couple months later, THQ goes bankrupt. It's like, damn it. So it's great to see that at least one IP is revived and coming back from there. Is there anything else in the news that you guys have seen lately?
On Dark Souls. Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Wow. I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls.
Again with Dark Souls. Eventually Overwatch will pop up in this episode too. At some
Already
point.
did.
Already did.
Sorry. With Darksiders 3, there was a big controversy with this, character being female, but her, with the usual the attire and her weapon choice and all those things that it's a huge talk of. Oh, you're sexualizing women, but then also there's people that are saying you're just trying to shoehorn a woman in, and there's all these debates and stuff.
They're talking about Modern Warfare about that too. Like they're shoehorning in like minorities and women in that game too.
Yeah.
Fury's been a character since the first.
Yeah, but
that's the thing is that what a lot of people don't realize is there's a bunch of this hype, or at least my theory, there's a bunch of this hype from Darksiders 3 coming out because, people thought the franchise was dead, and so it's back. And so it got a lot of hype from people like us that know the story, which gets the attention of people that don't know the story as well.
Right.
And I think that them reviving it with Fury right now, where strong female protagonists are kind of what's in and what's kind of hip right now, is a great way to also reintroduce the series. But to Joe's point, Fury's been a woman since day one. This is not anything new whatsoever.
With
and the weapon too.
Yeah, it's all the same.
With the popularity of Darksiders 1, there was a short comic series that was released and also kind of got axed when the company fell out. But it was, war was already established, death kind of came in, and this was one of the things they promoted too with. And Fury was always a woman, she always had a whip, and her costume was always the same. And Strife, I believe, is the last one, is a male and a gunslinger and kind of hates everything.
Yeah.
I was honestly more excited to see Strife, but
nope, he's 4.
I'm okay with Fury.
And I'm okay with this reboot too, because originally the plans for Darksiders 3 was going to be, the third one's going to be the end of the series, and it was going to be a 4-player co-op. But now it looks like each character is going to get their own installment, which allows more character development and fleshing it out. Because I know in the interview they said that this takes place at the same time as Darksiders 2. Yeah. So this is when Death is doing his own thing. So it's kind of cool to see the actually embodiment of the 7 deadly sins, because in Darksiders 2 it's referenced a ton.
Yeah.
But you never actually see what's going on because you're not you're kind of doing your own thing. But moving on, this is a big news too. Call of Duty Zombies is getting more stuff, man.
Yeah.
Kind of tying into DLC. I know everybody here hates Call of Duty, probably but me. But did you guys ever play Zombies?
I played Zombies early on.
Yeah.
I never played it.
Well,
I never really played much of anything past Infinity War.
I gotcha.
Or
Infinity War?
Whoa.
Advanced Warfare.
Advanced
There you
Warfare.
go.
Okay.
Infinity
I
War.
am struggling today. I am sorry.
It's okay.
I'll be over here.
I mean, on the note of DLC though,
Yeah.
a lot of DLC
Yes.
dropped this week.
So we can tie into DLC, and I guess kind of starting out with Call of Duty. So this map pack was apparently released because Infinite Warfare is doing so bad right now. Sorry for the abrupt jump cut there. We had some technical difficulties with the mic.
Yeah.
But we're back in action. So going back to Call of Duty again. Infinite Warfare is doing terrible in sales now again. It's still making a ton of money, but it's not having the same momentum that previous installments has. But Black Ops 3 is shown to have some legs. And obviously the Zombies is a key component of Treyarch. So this DLC that's been released involves 8 remastered maps from World at War Call of Duty Black Ops 1 and Call of Duty Black Ops 2. But the controversy with that and the theme we'll have today is overpriced DLC. Black Ops 3 had a $50 season pass, which included 4 DLC packs. They were great and all. But this DLC is $30. It's not included with the season pass whatsoever. So basically, if you were to pay for all the extra content on top of the game already, so say you bought the game day one, $60 right there.
Yeah.
It's $110 with the first season pass. Now you're at $140 for one game. What do you think about that? I mean, that's a lot of money for one game, especially a Call of Duty that's seasonal pretty much.
Well, I mean, which installment is this again?
This is another trilogy completed for Call of Duty. This is its second series that's now been finished off in a long-standing.
Personally, if a game costs that much, I'm probably not gonna buy it, especially if it's Call of Duty at this point.
Right.
So that's a no for me.
Also, like, I mean, so I think the problem is with the DLC itself, the way it's like structured.
Yeah.
Because I kind of wanted to a while back. Kind of wanted to get into what is it, Rainbow Siege?
Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
And I just like I looked at it. And I'm like, okay, it's on sale. It's like $20 or something. I'm like, okay, but if I want to have all the characters, it's like $100. Like,
Right.
I don't want to pay that. So
Yeah,
like,
of course.
it just that DLC by itself like made it too much for me to just not play a game.
Yeah.
And like if you contrast that with Shovel Knight, which now has the second DLC coming out on basically all the platforms, and it's both the DLCs are free,
Right. If you
And
bought the
it-
base game, yeah.
and it's like an indie studio off of a $25 game. It's like it's crazy.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And kind of going to Ubisoft's model, they kind of changed it up too, where all the DLC is quote unquote free. But if you look at stuff like For Honor, that's another thing they implemented, is that you have to grind and play the game a ridiculous amount. And even then, you're not going to be able to get it in time. And by the time you get these characters, they have a brand new set of characters, and it's just not feasible for casual players. And I really think that, yes, they can say, oh, our DLC is free, but you're never going to use it, so does it even matter to you? Because you're not going to have the ability to actually buy it. And I think going back to this DLC with prices, too, Nintendo announced that their new Fire Emblem Echoes is going to have a season pass for $50, and the game costs $40. And I don't justify a 3DS game having such a big season pass, especially because the quality for a 3DS game, don't get me wrong, it's a good game, but it's not. I mean, they're hand-drawn assets. They're not.
And I mean, I personally struggle with season passes in general, but I feel it's crossing a line when it's like you were saying, just handheld console, if you want to call it that, and you know that it's not going to be like this super amazing extra, side plot, whatever.
Right.
And it's probably going to be characters, maybe a new map or two, maybe a class. But to have it be more than the original game,
Right.
I mean, why not just flip the prices around?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like maybe with Nintendo, they're kind of new to DLC.
Very new.
I know that Mario Kart 8 had great DLC.
Oh yeah.
That was probably the best DLC practice. But then again, they're seeing Microsoft, Sony, these other companies that are charging these ridiculous
And they're
season
getting
passes.
away with it.
And they get away with it. They
Yeah.
think from a business perspective, why can't we do that?
Yeah, I feel like Nintendo's so out of touch.
Oh, I totally
with
agree.
So many things.
I
But
totally
I feel
agree.
like they saw the company succeeding with DLC, and they're like, let's do this as well.
Right.
And it just like they're doing the same things, but they're like doing it really poorly.
Right.
I mean, granted, the already in place DLC practices are not really great, but like the way Nintendo's trying to jump on the train is just really misunderstood. Like even companies who do it like to an extent that's just shouldn't be acceptable, they at least they've made their customers ready to pay for that.
Right.
Whereas Nintendo's just like got a completely different audience, and they're just like, and here's a bunch of money that you have to pay now. It's
Right. Like their audience is
It's
kind of out
not
of
going
touch.
to work. It's like it's not the way that people who buy Nintendo games don't want that
Right.
$60 season pass.
Unless it's going to be the Mario Kart 8 deal. Or like Splatoon.
Yeah.
Splatoon was free too. Like they expect a certain quality and they're giving off, I mean, like look at the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC that came out. Their season pass is $45-$50 and this DLC is a quest,
Well, I
a
think
mode,
the
and
other
skins.
I think the next DLC is probably. I think they've got like a completely separate storyline or something. I'm actually looking forward to that.
Right.
But I think like even the Mario Kart DLC was like $20.
Right, and that was awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just think it's ridiculous.
I think that a DLC succeeds when it's transformative, when it changes the game originally
Right.
in a way, and actually makes it a different experience.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just a crappy add-on for a lot of money.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
think since we're on the gripe trail,
Might as well
I think
keep
something to bring
continuing.
us back. Someone who does DLC perfectly. Witcher 3.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah.
They
Gave you.
yeah.
It has so much downloadable content. I think it's 16 pieces of downloadable content for free, which are skins mainly,
Right.
and like a map or two for some
couple
treasure.
quests too. So stuff you're paying for
some
now.
Small quests.
Yeah.
All of it for free. The only thing you had to pay for were two, essentially new storylines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Which makes sense.
And-
And they're huge.
And-
They're massive.
Like
I was-
Tucson, the first DLC just added on to the area that was already there, but Tucson is like,
Again, more technical issues with this mic. We actually have some good news about mic replacement and a new studio at the end. So if that makes you feel any better for these two jump cuts, we won't have these ever again. So hopefully, but probably not. But back to your point, Joe.
no, I was just talking about how the second DLC, which added Tucson, is like just extremely extensive and also just like gorgeous. It's like definitely my favorite area in the game.
And it also added elements that changed how you dealt with certain enemies with Black Blood.
Right.
And now necrophages and vampiric enemies. If you take this certain item now, vampiric and necrophage enemies are dealt damage when they deal you damage, which totally changes how you go about fighting those enemies.
Right. Of course. Well, kind of going back to what you're saying is that not only does this DLC create a new world, a new land, the DLC interacts with the base game as well.
Yeah.
So if you were to buy the game, like the complete edition with Witcher 3, the DLC that adds stuff to the main game, it's already implemented right away.
Yeah, and I can remember downloading the first DLC before I really completed the game, but I wasn't ready to beat the game yet, so I was doing a lot of exploring. And suddenly on the outside of the map, on all these different places, new enemies showed up, like these giant freaking spiders that I've never seen
Yeah,
before.
those guys are crazy.
And they scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. All right.
I was terrified at first because I was like, "Oh, it's one spider. Oh, there's 6 spiders.
Right.
That's a high level." And I just booked it. And then I was suddenly running into more new enemies, and there was new quests. And so these DLCs that we're paying for aren't just this one thing, aren't just this one new storyline. There's new elements, there's new enemies, new side quests, new items, new contracts.
Yeah.
And that is what DLC should be.
Right.
And granted, neither one of those two DLCs overshadow the original storyline. The original storyline is still massive, and these DLCs are big, but I mean they're barely a fraction of what the original is, and yet they're still, and so they're worth a fraction of the price.
Right.
When you already have all of this stuff that was given for free, and I think that is DLC done exactly right.
Yep.
Whereas with some of the other things, it's, hey, you want a skin?
Yeah.
Here you go. And for the first time ever, I'm going to rip on Overwatch and say
Told you everyone was coming. Told you.
DLC done poorly is loot boxes.
Loot
Yeah,
boxes
because
as a whole.
it's random, right? It's so
Gears
infuriating.
of War 4 is doing that.
Halo did that.
Halo, I love Halo. I'm going to defend it a little bit. Halo 5, it was random, but you got no duplicates. So
True.
once you got that item, you never got it again. So you have the ability. I was able to complete the entire set, and not once did I feel cheated. Now it grinded. Yes, it took me a while, but I played Gears of War 4 a ton, and I've gotten several duplicates. Overwatch the same thing, and it's gotten to the point where China just announced that they had to force companies to release the statistics or the probability on how the odds of getting an item
Yeah,
mark.
but that's because in their eyes, China saw it as gambling in some
kinda
sort
is,
of way.
though. Think
It
about
is,
it.
and legendaries are like a 7% chance of spawning.
It's a 1 in 16th chance per box. So it's not like you have like odds, okay, you get 16 boxes, you get 1/16. No, it's 1 in 16th chance per box.
For
And-
Overwatch?
Yeah.
Per legendary.
Wow, I have a lot of legendaries.
So, yeah, you got really lucky.
Always do.
And
I
that
also did drop $20 on loot boxes, though.
Jesus.
No, I understand that the industry has to evolutionize DLC and add it.
Evolutionize?
Well, think about it in a way.
Revolutionize.
Sorry. Well, they have to evolve
English
too.
Ranger for the win.
Yeah, whatever. But think about it. The old archaic days of DLC, at least for shooters in a sense, was a map pack. You buy 4 maps. That's how they paid for it. Eventually, over time, people were like, I don't want to keep paying for maps. You know, what's the point when you have these companies offering for free? So, Battlefield 3, for instance, its premium DLC expansion was phenomenal at the time. You know, it had a ton of maps, ton of weapons, ton of vehicles, and for its time, it was great. Battlefield 1 premium is doing poorly now because in today's industry, Overwatch, you get free maps. Rainbow Six, you get free maps. Counter-Strike's free maps. I mean, all these really big games do free maps. But and so these DLC practices are becoming outdated. So these companies are trying to experiment. So I kind of can give a little more lean way, but loot boxes I'm starting to get sick of.
Yeah, I think Halo did a good. Loot boxes are not good.
No.
But I
No.
think Halo made it better by saying, okay, once you get this, we're not going to convert it into a fraction of currency.
Right.
You're always going to constantly get something. And they had tiered loot boxes.
Yeah.
So you had a certain number of score. You could spend it on, was it a gold, silver, bronze?
Yeah, it was gold and silver. So gold was guaranteed rare or higher. Silver was guaranteed uncommon or higher, and a bronze was common to rare. Rare
Yeah.
was, but you knew what you were getting.
Yeah, so you had some sense of what you were doing. And it wasn't one of those things where level decides it or if you did some promotional event or if you did arcade events, it was you play for this amount of time, you'll get this much score, you can then spend that score. There was no middle thing of, all right, you play this much time, you get a score, that score then goes to your level and you have to wait till you get to your level to then get a new one.
Like the Halo Reddit community made a spreadsheet for each DLC, the amount of hours it would take to unlock. If you had all the base content, it would show how much hours you would need per set completion. And I think it did well is that the casual audience, I think the audience they're targeting because they can't invest that many hours, so they go ahead and spend the $20, $40 per DLC to unlock everything if they like the game. But for the hardcore crowd like me, I can grind those hours, and I don't feel cheated. I feel like I'm getting a more better experience. And actually, I actually bought some packs because I thought that the DLC was done so right. But to what you're saying, Overwatch and Gears and all these companies are doing these pack crap. Oh, like Heroes of the Storm does it too. I mean, there's no.
Well, Heroes of the Storm and Overwatch are owned by Blizzard.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. Well, her Blizzards are really, really, and Call of Duty and it's loot boxes too. Well,
The CS:GO
does it. CS:GO. Well, Rocket League does it now too with its crates.
That's stupid.
It is a weird.
It's
system.
becoming the new. It's
Yeah.
becoming the new phenomenon because I think.
It makes the makers more money.
Well, it
It's got a ton of money. That's what they're doing.
The problem is that it's acceptable.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
It's the problem that people are buying it, and because if nobody bought it, the companies wouldn't do it. They would
Right.
change their practice. But the thing is, enough people are buying it to justify it for them.
Well, it is going back to what you were saying about China. It is a little bit like gambling. You spend a little bit, maybe you'll spend $10-15, get 10 of them. Oh man, I got a really good thing from that one, and you get that high, and then suddenly you'll go for a little while. It's like, oh, something new came out, and then they get you with those promotional events. Like, I know Overwatch the best, so with that Chinese New Year, they had so many cool skins for Reinhardt, for Winston, for
bought
Mei,
some.
for Zenyatta. That's the one where I bought some for because I'm a Reinhardt main and I love that one and I wanted it and I got it.
Yeah, lucky.
But there's so many legendaries there, and you want to get them all because they're all so great, and your main character is probably in there somewhere. And for promotional ones, they're
Rip
you can-
Zarya means.
Yeah.
Rip Zarya means. But for the promotional events, normally a legendary is like 1,000 currency, which you can only get from loot boxes and duplicates, by the way. But now these new the seasonal legendaries are 3,000, and if you don't get them in that season, they're locked until
Forever.
it comes around again
If it
next
does.
year.
If it
Maybe.
does.
And here's the
Maybe.
thing also too with that, these companies like Overwatch and Guillermo, because they do the same thing. They started off with a season content, so they added like your mains map and some skins.
Yeah,
They stopped doing that. Once they caught on to these seasonal events and timed events making more money, they stopped adding these baseline content. Like Gears had season 1 skins, season 2 skins, and they started doing these weekend events. They've stopped launching these seasonal stuff or these series stuff. Overwatch, they had a couple skins here and there that were launched with.
Overwatch is slightly better.
It's
Because
different.
They said they'll never
Yeah.
charge for characters or maps.
Well,
The
yeah.
only thing that it's sort of like, oh, it's optional, but like everybody wants skins, so it is still bad.
It's all cosmetic.
It is
in a
still bad.
sense.
Here's something
True.
else. It's also a way to show off.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. It either shows off how lucky you are,
Yeah.
how much you've played, or how much money you can spend on it. So there's that element too. Something though that does kind of like this, but also a little different. Rainbow Six Siege. They have the season pass for all of the new characters, and you can just get them with the season pass, or you can grind a lot to get them. Now, granted, that definitely entices you to get that season pass more than grinding,
I did that. I bought it twice. I bought season 1 and season 2.
but the new characters always add something new. They add something different, a different way to go at things, a different way to do things, and they add maps which are free for everyone. So,
I think the way Rainbow Six has done it now, because I've played it enough to keep up with it, is that they've gone balls to the wall with cosmetic buy-ins. So it's not loot boxes, but everything they added on is $2.99 or $3.99 or $6.99. If it was the Overwatch approach where you got characters and maps for free and it was just skins, I think that would be appropriate. I don't find it appropriate the fact that I bought 2 season passes for $30 a piece, which is basically a Siege 2 sequel of the game, and there's so much content that I still have to pay for. Now, if this was like Titanfall 2, if you guys heard about that,
Yeah.
where everything's free except for really cool cosmetics, and they've done such a great job, that I'd feel appropriate to. So say I bought the game of Rainbow Six, I get 2 seasons of great characters and maps. Well, okay, sure, you invest in me, I'll invest in you. And that's what people have done with Titanfall, and that's why it's getting such. So there's just so many different developers experimenting with different types of community or supporting DLC.
Yeah.
That's just frustrating as a gamer, because we're all over the place, and it'd be cool if we had a streamlined DLC practice once again like we did in the past. I know another bad thing is pre-order DLC.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna sum up the pack DLC real quick by saying Witcher Right does it the best. Witcher 3 does it the best. Overwatch does it the worst. That is the only thing Overwatch does the worst of.
I agree with that.
I don't even think Overwatch does it worse. I think there's like examples that are worse than Overwatch.
I think the Nintendo thing is really bad too.
Well,
That's what I thought.
consistent.
Are you talking about just from the pack system?
Just from the pack system.
Because it's randomized.
It's randomized. So randomized gambling loot crates. 'Cause it's like a slot machine. Literally, if you're putting money into it, you just press the lever. So
You think it'd be more fair if you were just paying for what you wanted.
Yeah,
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. In terms of buying what you want, Witcher does it the best. Anything with loot boxes, I personally think does it the worst. Because everyone complains about the horse armor pack for Elder Scrolls, but it's
Well,
like you didn't have to buy that, and it didn't change the game
Right.
at all, and so that's why I don't think that's like way down there with bad DLC. I mean, it's bad DLC, but it's not a bad DLC practice.
I agree.
Yeah.
Loot boxes are a bad DLC practice. But going on to the pre-orders, is
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, pre-orders have broken the game market.
I agree.
They allow manufacturers.
Well, the thing is, they're just sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Wow.
Yeah,
pretty much.
they're just ridiculous now because they had a purpose, like maybe 10 years ago, because there were physical copies of games and
Yeah.
there were a limited amount. So you
Right.
pre-ordered a game to make sure you had it.
Right, because hype games would be gone at
Yeah,
once.
exactly. I remember that for Modern Warfare 2. That was,
Oh, yeah, I
that was
pre-ordered
the
Modern Warfare 2.
first game I pre-ordered, and I went into the store to get it, and I was looking through the shelves, because I was like, oh, if you have a pre-order, you can just, go in, grab it, and bring it up, and that's all you have to do. There's no, jump through hoops or what. I don't know what my mind was thinking. But I went back, every single version on every single console was gone. And I had a momentary panic, went up to customer service and oh yeah, we have one right here for you. But it's like if you don't pre-order that for the hype games, you seriously run that risk.
Or like Nintendo games in the past.
Yeah, but like nowadays,
Fire Emblem was one of the worst offenders of that. It was completely gone.
And Pokemon.
Pokemon too. So yeah, I agree.
well, the thing is nowadays,
Yeah,
you know,
it's digital.
it's digital. It's all digital.
They don't need to.
Well, I mean, except for the actual physical copies for consoles.
But even consoles have
Even consoles have, yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you can even pre-order digital copies.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
there's now no reason for that other than, to show your support to the company.
Yeah, and pre-order now become pre-download. So like the cool thing is, if you buy it beforehand, you can download it before it launches, and then you automatically click it and it's ready to go.
Well, and also, it gives you basically companies have started rewarding people for spending more money by adding exclusive pre-order content.
Right.
It's never been anything game changing. It's always been a skin or
If
it's-
it was game changing, that'd be a bad thing.
Exactly. So it's almost like they know it's not a good thing, but they still do it.
I think
Mass Effect 3 though is a bad
Yeah.
example where they locked away the if you guys played
no.
okay, so
I have.
the Prothean DLC.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was, oh,
So basically, a little quick summary is, is it Protheans, right?
Protheans,
Or
yeah.
Prometheans?
Something like that.
So it's something with the P.
Protheans or Prometheans.
And basically, this race had been wiped out by spoilers, the Reapers beforehand. So this is a huge.
What the shit?
And by the way, the Protheans had been talked about in every
game.
single game.
There's a huge
as,
lore part.
as like legend and myth. It was that one thing where it was like, what? What happened?
And guess what a pre-order bonus was? A squad mate. Like.
That was a Prothean.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, a squad mate with his voice lines, his character, his quest.
And-
was pre-order DLC day one. If you didn't pre-order, you had to buy it for $5.99. Are you shitting me?
On top of that, he also came, if you pre-ordered it, he came with a quest that showed you the origins of the Reapers.
Yeah.
The enemy you have been facing for the entire game shows you where they come from, why they're so powerful, what their purpose is. It gives you so much of this backstory that if you don't pre-order the game, you then have to pay for.
Yeah.
That's actually stupid, though.
And that's the most extreme example, I think. But
Well, the most extreme example, I think, is Star Wars Battlefront, this first one.
Oh yeah, because that was like not even a full game.
It wasn't a full game.
It
No.
probably still isn't. I honestly
No,
no
it's
idea.
I'd say it's a pretty full game now, but here's the thing.
the second one will be first.
With the pre-orders,
Yeah.
there are two issues with it. One is that I feel like they released an incomplete game.
Yeah.
I feel like there were only a couple ways you could play it on like 2 or 3 maps, and really the only fun ones were Walker Assault and
Right.
basically the team deathmatch, and that was it.
Yeah.
And by the way, Boba Fett was broken. But also,
Again.
if you pre-ordered the game with like a special edition of the game, you immediately unlocked the best gun in the game.
Right. Yeah, the DL-44.
Yeah, you immediately unlocked it, and the game was so out of whack because they released it too soon that if you had this gun, you were guaranteed top of the scoreboard.
Yeah. There was a
I mean, it
huge
was-
competitive drop off between that
was-
and that.
Basically, it's Han Solo's pistol, but it had, I think it had a scope on it, and it had range, it had damage. I mean, 2 shots and someone was dead, headshot
Wow.
and they're dead.
Right.
And no other gun could compare to it. And it had like this super long, like, I don't know, it's not a clip, but you could shoot
No,
for a long time,
no,
and it had all this damage.
I totally agree, and that kind of leads into the question for everybody here. This new trend of deluxe editions, where it's $10 more,
Yeah.
and you get 5 in-game items, but there's always disclaimers saying you can unlock this. What do y'all think about that? Do you think it's worth those $10 extra for maybe 5 digital items?
Depends on the game.
I mean,
If I may, actually,
Okay.
before we move on, I hope that the gaming community has learned about pre-ordering, and I think it'll drop off because of No Man's Sky, because
yeah.
so many people pre-ordered that game, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna stand on my pedestal here and say that I said like months and months before the game, I was like, there's no way this game's gonna be good. They were just promising the kind of stuff that couldn't happen, like technologically. And so, it came out, it was awful, everybody was mad. I hope people are going to be like, what if I pre-order this? And they're like, oh yeah, No Man's Sky was a thing.
Right.
So I think we're going to change.
And I fall into that camp that bought in the hype,
Yeah.
and I fell into the camp that got so mad that I just
I actually kind of quit gaming for a while just because I was so pissed. But I also followed that camp where I just pre-ordered Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, to your degree, is that pre-ordering is an archaic way of pre-sales and it slowly is dying.
I
But
hope so, yeah.
I think it needs to die off. But I think there should be better ways to reintroduce the process. So people like me that likes, Battlefront shooters, or Alan that likes the fighters and wants to get a new incentive or support the company they're trying to buy for, there should be better ways of doing it than something that was used because of actual shortage reasons. I mean, things have changed.
Okay.
I don't think
I don't even know if I can like really say that I'm in like a better position because I did pre-order Dark Souls 3 because partially just because I wanted to be able to download it immediately.
Right.
I wanted to have it available as soon as I possibly could. And like when it did, I basically played that game for like an entire week straight and just beat it immediately. Like that was probably a bad idea, but I still pre-ordered it because I wanted to be able to play it immediately.
Right, which I think is a good thing. It's a healthy thing, and I think companies can change the way to promote and support that. So instead of locking DLC, some companies have done you get to play a week early. So you pre-order our game, like you're a huge fan of Dark Souls, you get a week's early access to play Dark Souls for a week before anybody else does.
That sounds cool.
That sounds cool. It doesn't lock anybody out from content. It gives you a cool or a discount. So at Best Buy GC it takes 20% off. If I was going to say, hey, look, if you pre-order Halo 6, you get 20% off in a week or 2 weeks before you get to play.
I think the problem is when you have an excited group of fans before you have reviews for the game out. I think it's important to have review copies out before any access for the game because people need to know what they're buying before they buy it.
Why would you do that if you already have all these excited people
Exactly,
already?
that's the problem.
Well, but Bethesda's also cutting that off, though. You've seen that they've stopped getting out review copies. It started with Doom. Doom didn't get review copies. Dishonored 2 didn't get review copies.
But why?
Right. Because they didn't want to kill hype. Because they didn't want their game to review bad. Because now companies are starting to be anti-consumer.
Well, no, they're not being anti-consumer. They're just feeding on this new consumer basis. Because for the major gamers like us who take the time to learn about a game, know how games work, know what makes a good and a bad game, we know what it does. But games have hit the mainstream so hard that there are a lot of people that don't know that see new Call of Duty, I like the old one, I'm going to get it. And there's also a lot of people that have said, Star Wars, I love Star Wars, I'm going to get it. And don't take any time to learn about it. And that's the hard part, is that where it used to be, gaming was kind of this off to the corner thing that not everyone did. The small mass of people that were super dedicated could control how things went, and they could realize these trends. Now gaming has hit huge, and there are so many people, especially the biggest majority of the young players, that don't think about that and then just see, I liked it before, I'm going to like it again.
Or it looks cool.
Or that's edgy, or...
Well, that's why trailers are hyped up now.
Yeah.
That's why game demos died, in a sense, because I kind of looked up here again because I read an article back in the day. A CEO of Shell Games quoted that game demos cut game sales in half. So if you were going to say, get rid of demos, well, what's the next best damning thing for a game is bad reviews. So what else are they going to cut? You know what I mean? And the consumer, I feel for us, we're so accepting because we buy into the hype that we let these things slide. And that's why DLC's gotten to how bad it is today.
But something that can, and I think will change, is two things. One, reviewers, like actual, and I know you're saying not giving out review copies, but people like IGN, who will, even if there's no review copies, they'll go out and buy the game the day it releases and play it and give a review within the first week it releases, and they're really trusted. Every single IGN review I have seen of a game,
that's debatable, but
controversy there.
Yeah.
Personally, I've agreed with it, but there's
Literally unplayable. 10 out of 10 IGN.
Have you seen the water one? The 7 out of 10 too much water for Pokemon Ruby.
That's actually stupid.
That's the legitimate thing. He put 7 out of 10 too much water because he didn't like to traverse Pokemon Ruby's water for the remake. Just straight up. So that's why IGN died for me. But
okay, I have not seen those, but there's more than just IGN. There's other ones out there, and the second one,
Kotaku.
Well, there's a second one out there that I think a lot of people have overlooked.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Let's Plays.
Yeah.
These big name.
Nintendo.
Well, these big.
God, sorry, I cut you off again. I'm sorry. Do you want to? You have something to say.
All I was gonna say is, the two I watch the most of are Game Grumps and Achievement Hunters,
Yeah.
and they got Dark Souls early. They got Breath of the Wild early. They got Star Wars Battlefront early, and they get all of these things early, and then they play it and they put it up as soon as they can, and it lets players see how they play in real time. Like, a Let's Player is not going to cut out a glitch or a failure of the game because they can rant about it, they can make jokes about it, and they have content then.
Yeah.
So you're going to see how a game truly plays before you have to go buy it because they're getting these big name games early. And they also play indie games and they play lower tier games. And all you have to do is look up a Let's Play and you see how the game plays.
Or Twitch.
Actually, to go off of that,
it's
a lot of review copies that you would normally give to journalists are going to YouTubers now because they have a bigger audience for people to see.
Well,
the thing about you see the game actually through their experience.
Yeah, you see somebody having fun with the game. That's the difference between
There you go.
review.
I like that.
And so, like, Let's Players playing games is, like, just almost universally helpful for the game, which is crazy because Nintendo had their thing a while ago, and I think it's still somewhat in effect, where they basically said, if you want to make money off of any Nintendo content, you have to pay us.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of your money.
Right.
Which is ridiculous because it's like free advertising for Nintendo, and they're making people pay for them.
Yeah, back to Nintendo, if you said earlier, they're so out of touch with their audience,
so out of
man.
touch.
Well, I think Nintendo. If I can say something a little controversial, I know me controversial, shocking. Nintendo is kind of the kingpin if you think about it. They have the nostalgia.
Yeah.
They have the experience. I mean,
Well, here's the thing: they make good games.
Yeah, and
The games are bad. If they started making bad games, they become super relevant quickly, but they're so good. Their games are so good.
That's the third thing. They know they do good.
That's why they do that risky
Yeah,
shit.
that's why they do that because
Like the Wii.
because
Like the Wii U.
They can
The
get
Switch
away
is
with it.
risky, and even that was a killer hit right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's they've done all these risky things, but they're Nintendo.
right.
It's like, have you guys seen the South Park episode with KFC?
Nope.
No, I'm not.
Think so?
We're going to South Park KFC right now.
And he's basically, you don't fuck with Nintendo.
No.
You just don't. I feel like Nintendo.
Oh, right, where they fight each other with like Bill Gates and all that. And the Sony one. Have you seen that one too? Like the console wars.
Oh, the console wars. Yeah,
that
well,
it?
that one I think is actually false because it has a literal Xbox and a legit Xbox One and a legit
Bungaroo.
PS4 as like ships, and they
No. This is a South Park episode.
Oh, I have not seen that one.
No,
there's
it's
There's a YouTube video.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and they're
YouTube video.
literally fighting each other.
This is funny.
I've seen that one.
Okay, so we're totally derailed the subject now. We're
Yeah.
on South Park and YouTube videos.
Okay.
So bring it back to DLC. Let's have a good DLC.
I'm gonna bounce off yours when you talked about what was it, deluxe editions?
Yeah.
There was a new DLC reveal of Injustice.
Okay.
That revealed Sub-Zero, Starfire, and what was it, Red Hood?
Yeah.
And they're gonna add what, 6 more people overall?
And then if you look at the silhouettes, I think one's gonna be Raiden.
One's gonna be Black Manta. And then the others are like really, you have no idea.
People speculate maybe Martian Man.
Maybe.
A Martian Manhunter.
Yeah,
Is what it's called.
Manhunter.
Yeah. But the thing is, the deluxe edition technically for this is $100.
Right.
Legit $100 for the full game.
But it's the game plus the season pass, though, right?
It's for all the characters.
Season Pass is the only thing that has to die. It's paying for content that you don't know whether it's going to be good or not.
right. Because
Right.
Like way ahead of time.
Now compare this to Street Fighter V DLC that also got announced, which was a season pass for $30, which includes Akuma, Colin, and the new fighter Ed, along with 3 other fighters.
But they have 2 season pass. They have season pass.
Yeah, the
one,
first season pass 2.
Right. I think fighters can do this right because Street Fighter always had new iterations or new releases, if they can do these seasons instead of doing these re-releases, so say you have base game 2 seasons and then they have a re-release, but it's a way for you to still not buy a consistent version.
Well, I'm thinking that for Street Fighter they're gonna do this for up to like maybe 1 or 2 years after this point, and then maybe release with a new version.
Right.
Because of the way the game is made, they're gonna make Street Fighter 6. They gotta make more money that way.
Right.
But I would enjoy it if they just released it over time.
Yeah, you think so? Well, I think it's a way for them to keep the fighting community involved too, because I know the fighters are really, really, really based off the new characters coming in and the meta always changing. And I think with Tekken's also doing the same thing. This is a new gen for experimenting, it looks like, and I think these fighters are saying, hey, a lot of people have loved these core, like Melee. People have championed for this game to come back. Well, this is a way for them to keep a core game and just add content for it until it dies out. So I think we're going to see this train and see how this plays out. I think we're on.
I'm 100% on Melee HD. The thing is, Nintendo. No, yeah, exactly.
It would get rid of wave dash.
It would get rid of glitches, technical things, and it would make the game not Melee at that point.
Right.
You don't want an HD release.
No, you don't, but you do.
You want to see it look pretty.
You just want to make it easier for people to actually buy and play and not carry around CRTs and stuff like that. But you don't want to change the core gameplay.
Dolphin.
Yeah, but Dolphin isn't. It still got lag.
In a sense, but it's the best thing we got now.
Yeah.
So kind of going off the neutral put on DLC. What do you think's good DLC? At least for this generation of consoles, what have you seen that's been really good DLC where you bought it and you've gotten like this is worth every cent I paid for it?
Well, I want to talk about an indie game called The Binding of Isaac.
Yes.
Do you guys know?
Never heard of that entire life?
Never?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I've
They've got like 3 DLCs now, and this newest one is a bunch of new items, right? A bunch of new like cosmetic things. But along with that, the community can make new items, and that comes free.
So it's like modding in a sense.
Yeah, it's modding,
but it's for all platforms.
Technically it's starting because it started on PC.
Okay.
And it's moved on to Nintendo. I think now they're gonna release it to the Switch sooner or later.
Yeah.
I don't know about the Xbox or the PS4.
I gotcha. I'm sure if it comes to Switch, it's gonna come to those platforms too.
Yeah.
But okay, I like that.
But the way the DLC, it changes the gameplay a lot. It adds new items, new enemies. It ramps up the difficulty, adds new characters, new floors.
Okay.
So I just think that's a good DLC overall.
I gotcha.
Apart from that, maybe Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight does its
Knight's
DLC really well.
Has Shovel Knight done anything wrong ever?
I don't think so. I think it was a great
Knight
game.
was basically just Shovel Knight with a different move set, but that's fine. I liked it still. It was like way harder because the level was not designed for Plague Knight.
Right.
And it was like it totally amped up the difficulty, in my opinion.
I think it's just a nice gesture because we're in an era where you can charge for everything.
But Spectre is like way different.
Spectre's good.
So once again, has Shovel Knight done anything wrong?
No.
Answer seems to be a no.
Well, I think it's just because we're in an age now to where we're getting charged left and right, and
so we appreciate that, right?
We appreciate it more than we probably would have
if you
in
had
the
to pay
past.
for it, like, if I had to play for, I probably wouldn't pay for Plague Knight. I would totally pay for Spectre Knight.
Really?
Yeah.
I see. I'm in the boat where I wouldn't pay for anything for Shovel Knight DLC.
Shovel Knight's a great game, dude.
I'd buy Shovel
I bought the
Knight.
physical copy of it and the digital copy of it just because I wanted it as a collector. I wanted it on my shelf.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just saying from a DLC standpoint, an indie game like that is not something I'd pay extra for. Kind of, so it's just for me. I appreciate and like the game more, and probably would buy more companies from Yacht Games, board games from Yacht Games because of
Yacht Club Gaming.
Yacht Club Gaming. I'd buy more games from them in the future because of the way they've treated me as a consumer.
Well, that's the thing. Spectre Knight is basically another game.
Right. Yeah.
Here's
So,
the thing.
I don't know. It's cheaper too.
Go ahead. I think, in my opinion, that indie games are doing DLCs better than AAA titles.
Oh yeah,
Rocket League.
No. You kidding me?
Rocket League's doing great. Free maps galore.
Okay, yeah, free maps.
And
But the
gotta pay
paid
for-
DLC is not great.
Yeah, okay, the boxes, but they're optional. And then
No, like this. I mean, I don't like skins. I don't like.
There's been other
skins.
DLCs too.
the cars though, but they're $1.99 for a car.
I think there was
It's
a DLC.
not bad. It's just not great.
Okay, I can see that. See, I just find cosmetics like that, or if I buy what I want to buy, I find that more appealing than the random stuff.
sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Give me what I want, and they'll give you my money.
It's like the lesser of two evils,
Yeah.
kind of, in a way.
Well, not even that, but it's like if this is something you know you want, why not
Buy it.
Right.
Well, that's just good business. I mean, if you have something that a consumer wants, why not make them spend it?
And I think companies are starting, like, we'll kind of go back to Battlefront. They announced that the Battlefront 2 won't have a season pass, and then all maps will be free. But I think they're going to go to a cosmetic route. And I'd rather have companies go full-blown cosmetics than loot boxes and season passes. Because now we're in a stage, like Call of Duty, you get loot boxes and season pass and buy cosmetics. Just all terrible all around.
Yeah.
I can't have all that. I need one of the three, at least, if you're going to support it. Or none of the above. Just give me a full game in full like we did back 10 years ago. And I get the deals, the digital distribution, digital storefront allows for games to add more or patch or add things. But it's totally being abused now.
Yeah.
It really is. And we've let it happen, too, which is a kind of sad thing.
I feel like the best way people could do DLC is kind of in an Overwatch way. As in, you buy the game, right? And then
Right.
you get free DLC as time goes
Titanfall
on.
is another example.
Titanfall 2, I think, is the best example because they just announced Frontier, where it's like a brand new classic maps are being brought back, ton of game modes, ton of characters, tons of new Titans. It's all free. And the only thing you buy is skins, and the skins are $1.99.
And you get to choose what you're buying.
And you're choosing exactly
That's
what
the
you
difference.
want. And I think that is what the future needs to be. I don't like the Rainbow Six Siege, cool experiment. I don't want to pay for both. It's either one or the other for me. I think that's kind of the agreement with you, Joe, as well. But I mean, is there any DLC practice that you favor, or would you guys get rid of it?
Dark Souls.
Sorry,
Did you say Dark Souls?
the traditional expansion.
I
heard someone say Dark Souls.
I think I heard Dark Souls.
So the traditional expansion route, pretty
Well,
much.
the thing that I like about
Every single Dark Souls DLC is good.
Yeah.
these two new ones, I actually do have one problem,
Oh.
Uh-oh.
and that
Fight.
it seems that at least with the Painted World of Ariandel, seemed shorter a little bit than other DLC in the past,
Yeah.
and the final boss I felt was a little bit of a cop out.
Really?
Because normally with Dark Souls, what it was is you would go through an area and you had one really difficult boss fight that accumulated everything you had learned from that previous area. This boss fight was 3 boss fights in one, and it wasn't just like, oh, this is adding something new to the lore of the person. It's 3 boss fights in a row who you've killed before.
What?
So before we get into this,
It's like you kill Sister Freed once,
Oh, no.
then she comes back again each time.
She's different though.
Hey guys,
Not the second time?
So we're going to cut this short with the argument here because if this was going to go happen, we'd be arguing for about 10 minutes. But we do have some really good news to announce at the end. So we're going to have to start the cheap gamer section a little earlier than most, but maybe
Yeah.
talk a little bit more at the same time. So with this version, let's not talk cheap games. Let's talk games with good DLC. So for me personally, the game would be it's a little bit of an old one, but Battlefield 3. You can get the game with the premium edition for $20. It's backwards compatible, or it's on PC, and you get 5 expansions plus 2 other free maps and I think 40 guns, 20 new vehicles. And if you're a big open world shooter, it's great. It's a lot of fun.
Personally, for me, I'd choose 1 or 2 games, which is, some people might dislike me for this, but Street Fighter V, I think, does it in a decent way.
Okay.
But more so, I think The Binding of Isaac is my go-to for DLC.
Okay.
Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight.
And I would have 2 of Witcher 3.
Yep.
I think, like I've said before, it does DLC the best out of any game I've seen. And despite my gripes, I would say any Dark Souls DLC is phenomenal.
I say those old RPGs that have the traditional 3 expansions, like the old Bethesda games, stuff like that, really kind of gave, like Skyrim, for instance, give you a lot of bang for your buck. I kind of miss that too,
Yeah, just something that completely changes
changes
the game.
everything or adds so much content that's entirely different.
Even the one DLC with Skyrim of you get a house, well, suddenly that changes because now you can store things in a place, and you have
Kids.
a freaking use for those dragon bones aside from armor. That's not even the strongest armor.
Right. another rant. There's gonna be a lot of rants coming from this. So
Anyway, just
the really good news we have to announce for our show is that we have partnered with KUST here on our campus, which will allow us to have a brand new studio, a brand new place to record. So the quantity of episodes will increase, the quality of episodes will also increase, and we'll have 3 different platforms of distribution. For right now, for what we can announce is that SoundCloud will be our primary distribution for first release episodes. So our episodes will be recorded. They will launch on SoundCloud first. They'll be available in 3 episode sessions before they get phased out. And then they'll be available through KUST Radio and their website, which we will announce later. And then third, will be launched in our own iTunes store with our own albums, and that will also kind of be announced towards the end. But it allows for us to expand and create better quality content for you guys, the listeners. We'd love to have you guys get involved with our Facebook group. We've been posting a lot there. It'll allow for you guys to get updates on when we're recording, what episodes are launching, and to kind of give you a better schedule of what we do here at the studio in the UST library. But it's been a lot of fun recording, kind of doing the little sessions we have now. But I think this next chapter we have will be a good step for us. What do you guys think?
I'm excited.
I am very excited.
And we have a guest speaker for next week to announce. It could be an old friend or somebody that kind of helped us launch this whole podcast idea in the first place. So I think the person that shows up will be a great addition. It'll be a good, fun way to close our first season. So thanks again for listening to us. I know DLC is extremely controversial, and we could talk about this for hours. But to stay within the time frame, we kind of cut it off here. But I'm Nick.
I'm Alan.
I'm Joe.
I'm Eric.
And thanks again for listening to us. See you next week, next Saturday, for the final episode of Season 1 of the Casually Hardcore Podcast. And also stay tuned for more updates on our Facebook for more shows of the summer that might be coming. A lot of fun stuff's on the horizon, and we hope you join us in this journey. Thanks, guys.